Kofi adjusted his black suit jacket as he walked through the gleaming corridors of Asante Industries, his neatly trimmed beard catching the morning light streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. His buzz-cut hair was perfectly groomed. As always, and despite the early hour, his joyful expression remained unchanged. He loved his job as senior project manager, and his dedication hadn't gone unnoticed by his colleagues or his boss, Mr. Asante. What he hadn't expected was the attention from Mrs. Asante. Adana Asante was undeniably beautiful, with her light blue skin that seemed to glow under the office lights, and her long brown hair intricately braided and adorned with golden beads that matched her off-shoulder golden shirt. Her curvy physique was accentuated by the blue shorts she favored, and her gentle appearance had fooled many into thinking she was as sweet as she looked. But Kofi was beginning to see through the facade. It started innocently enough. Lingering glances during company meetings, casual touches on his shoulder when she passed by his desk, and invitations to private lunches under the guise of discussing company matters. Kofi, being the respectful man he was raised to be, initially dismissed these as friendly gestures from the boss's wife. The first direct advance came on a rainy Thursday afternoon. Adana had cornered him in the empty conference room, her voice dropping to a whisper as she moved closer than necessary. "Kofi, you're such a dedicated worker. I think you deserve special recognition," she had purred, her fingers trailing along his arm. Kofi had stepped back immediately, his expression remaining polite but firm. "Mrs. Asante, I appreciate your kindness, but I'm here to work, nothing more." He had excused himself quickly, leaving behind a woman who wasn't accustomed to rejection. That night, as Kofi sat in his modest apartment reviewing project files, he couldn't shake the uncomfortable feeling that this was far from over. He had worked too hard to get where he was to let anyone, regardless of their position, compromise his integrity or his career. Over the following weeks, Adana's advances became more frequent and increasingly bold. She would find excuses to visit Kofi's department, always dressed in her signature style, the golden off-shoulder top that emphasized her beauty and those blue shorts that commanded attention. Her braided hair would sway as she walked, and her gentle smile would fool anyone watching from a distance. But Kofi saw the calculation behind those smiles. "You know, Kofi," she said one afternoon, perching on the edge of his desk while he tried to focus on his computer screen, "my husband speaks very highly of you. He trusts my judgment about people." The implication hung heavy in the air, but Kofi refused to take the bait. "I'm grateful for Mr. Asante's confidence in my work," he replied without looking up, his joyful demeanor slightly strained but still intact. "I won't let him down." Adana's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She wasn't used to being ignored, especially not by someone she considered beneath her social standing. Her next attempt came during the company's monthly celebration, where she cornered him near the refreshment table. "You're being foolish, Kofi," she whispered, her voice losing some of its gentle quality. "I could make your career here very comfortable or very difficult." Her light blue skin seemed to flush with frustration when he simply nodded politely and walked away. The breaking point came when she showed up at his apartment building one evening. Kofi was returning from his evening jog when he found her waiting by the entrance, looking decidedly out of place in the modest neighborhood with her expensive clothes and jewelry. "Adana, Mrs. Asante," he corrected himself, "you shouldn't be here. I go where I please," she replied, her mask finally slipping completely. "And I get what I want. Always." Kofi's expression remained steady, though his heart was racing. "Not this time. Please leave and don't come here again." He walked past her into the building, leaving her standing alone on the sidewalk, her beautiful face twisted with rage and humiliation. That night, Adana Asante made a decision that would change everything. Monday morning arrived with an ominous tension that Kofi couldn't quite place. He dressed carefully in his black suit, ensuring his appearance was impeccable as always, and made his way to the office with his characteristic joyful expression intact. However, something felt different the moment he stepped through the doors of Asante Industries. Colleagues who usually greeted him warmly now avoided eye contact. Whispers followed him down the hallway, and when he reached his desk, He found his computer access had been suspended. Before he could process what was happening, Mr. Asante's secretary approached him with trembling hands. "Kofi, Mr. Asante wants to see you in his office, immediately." The walk to the executive floor felt like a funeral march. Mr. Asante, a distinguished man in his 50s, sat behind his mahogany desk with a face like thunder. Beside him stood Adana, her light blue skin pale with what appeared to be distress, her long braided hair falling over her golden off-shoulder shirt as she dabbed at her eyes. "With a tissue, Kofi," Mr. Asante began, his voice heavy with disappointment. "I never thought I'd be having this conversation with you. My wife has informed me of your inappropriate behavior toward her." Kofi felt the floor shift beneath his feet. "Sir, I don't understand. Don't make this worse by lying," Adana interrupted, her voice breaking convincingly. "The way you look at me, the comments you make when no one else is around, I tried to ignore it. But yesterday," she shuddered dramatically, "you followed me to the parking garage and made suggestions that I cannot repeat." The accusation hit Kofi like a physical blow. His joyful expression crumbled as he realized the depth of her deception. "Mr. Asante, that's not true. None of it. Your wife has been enough." Mr. Asante stood up, his face flushed with anger. "I will not have my wife subjected to this harassment in her own husband's company. You're fired. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out." As the security guards flanked him, Kofi caught sight of Adana's face. For just a moment, when she thought no one was looking, her mask slipped completely. The gentle, distressed expression vanished, replaced by a cold smile of triumph. In that instant, Kofi understood that this had been her plan all along. If she couldn't have him, she would destroy him. 3 days after his termination, Kofi sat in his apartment, still wearing his black suit out of habit, though his usually joyful expression had been replaced by one of quiet determination. He had spent those days gathering evidence, knowing that his reputation and career hung in the balance. Truth had a way of surfacing, and he was determined to help it along. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. James, the night security guard, had called him with information that would change everything. The security cameras had captured more than Adana realized, and James, who had always respected Kofi's character, had taken it upon himself to review the footage from the past month. Armed with this evidence, Kofi requested a meeting with Mr. Asante, initially refused. The meeting was finally granted when Kofi mentioned he had evidence that would clear his name and reveal the truth about what had really transpired. The conference room was tense as Mr. Asante, his legal counsel, and HR director gathered around the large screen. Adana sat beside her husband, her light blue skin radiating confidence, her braided hair perfectly styled, wearing her signature golden off-shoulder shirt and blue shorts. She appeared every bit the innocent victim she had portrayed herself to be. "This is ridiculous," she said with a gentle laugh. "What could he possibly have to show?" Kofi, maintaining his dignity despite everything, simply nodded to James to begin the presentation. The first video showed Adana approaching Kofi at his desk, her body language clearly inappropriate as she leaned over him seductively. The timestamp proved this was during one of the times she claimed he had been harassing her. Mr. Asante's expression began to change as video after video played, each one showing his wife as the aggressor cornering Kofi in conference rooms, following him to his car, and in one particularly damning clip, showing up at his apartment building. The final piece of evidence was audio from the security system that had captured her threat. "I could make your career here very comfortable or very difficult." The room fell silent as the truth became undeniable. Adana's gentle facade cracked completely, her beautiful features twisting with rage and desperation. "You don't understand," she said to her husband, her voice no longer soft and sweet. "He rejected me. No one rejects me." Mr. Asante stared at his wife as if seeing her for the first time, the woman he thought he knew revealing herself to be someone entirely different. The other executives in the room looked on in shock as the extent of her deception became clear. "Kofi," Mr. Asante said, his voice heavy with remorse, "I owe you an apology that words cannot adequately express. You are reinstated immediately." with full back pay and a promotion. As for you, he turned to his wife, we have much to discuss. As Kofi walked out of that conference room, his characteristic joyful expression slowly returning, he knew that justice had been served. The truth had a way of surfacing, no matter how deeply it was buried beneath lies and manipulation. Adana's evil side had been exposed to everyone, and her carefully constructed facade had crumbled, revealing the calculating, vindictive person she truly was beneath her beautiful exterior. The gentle-looking woman with light blue skin and long, braided hair had learned that beauty without character was merely an empty shell, and that truth, no matter how long it takes, always finds its way to the light.